This is our rejection region. Two-tailed tayo. The computed one sample t-test is negative 2.303. This is the 0, so mas malapit siya dito. So, more likely, nandito siya, no? Dito na sa taas ilagay. So, this is negative 2.303. No, so meaning, that point is actually belongs to the non-rejection region. And since nandoon siya sa non-rejection region, we fail to reject null hypothesis. No, we can't reject null hypothesis. We fail to reject null hypothesis. Hello everyone! Good day to all of you. I hope you are all doing great. So for this presentation, we will go into discuss all about the hypothesis testing, one population, one sample t-test. This is actually the continuation of our previous discussion regarding the one population, one sample z-test. Okay, so in this presentation, tignan natin ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng z-test versus sa t-test. Okay, so let's have here one sample t-test. By definition, this is a statistical procedure that is used to know the mean difference between the sample and the known value of the population mean based from interval or ratio scale. So the sample size here actually dapat mas mababa sa 30. So, isa ito sa pinakamadaling tandaan. If our sample size is more than 30, that is z-test. If our sample size is less than 30, that is t-test. One, no? Just only one of the assumption, and of course, na palatandaan natin para gagamitin natin si t-test or si z-test. Now, we have these assumptions, the complete assumptions in one sample t-test. First assumption is that the population must be approximately normally distributed. Okay? Anyway, if not normal distribution or if you are not sure if the distribution is normal or hindi, actually you can go back to our descriptive statistics just to use the kurtosis, the skewness, and other descriptive statistics that is part of statistics 1. No, doon malalaman natin kung normal ba or hindi yung ating distribution. Okay? So, second assumption is that the sample drawn from the population should be random. Third one, cases of the sample should be independent. Again, they should be independent. Then the last one, the sample size should be less than 30. And this is not actually the last one. Meron pa palang isa na the fifth one, population mean should be known. Okay, so kapag hindi known si population mean, more likely hindi siya t-test. Pwede tayo gumamit ng ibang statistical test for that. Okay, so let's have our example for the one sample t-test. Our problem here is regarding the DOLE. So, one of the Undersecretary of the Department of Labor and Employment, or the DOLE, claims that the average starting salary of industrial engineers is 18,000 pesos. A sample of 19 IEs or 19 industrial engineers, starting salary has a mean of 17,350 pesos and a standard deviation of 1,230 pesos. Is there enough evidence to reject the Undersecretary's claim at alpha level 0.01? So, I hope you get the point of the problem. So, meron tayong DOLE, no, may research si DOLE, one of their undersecretary. Sabi nila, average na starting salary ng IE is 18K upon graduation. So, may kinuha din. Ayan yung paper, ayan yung research. Then, kumuha sila ng sample na 19 ngayon. No, ibang ibang set of study. A sample of 19 IEs, starting salary has a mean of 17,350 doon sa kinuha nilang 19 na hindi kasama doon sa naging previous study ng Undersecretary of Dole. Pero tapos doon sa 19 na yun, 17,350 yung nakuha nila na mean. No, and standard deviation 1 to 30. Now, is there enough evidence para i-reject natin, ay hindi, mali yung 18,000 kasi nakuha namin 17,350 lang. No? So, hindi na kami maniniwala sa research ng Dole kasi ito yung totoo. Something like that. Is there enough evidence ba to reject the Undersecretary's claim? Then, yung alpha level na gamitin daw natin is 0.01. Okay? So, let's start our computation, our solution. As much as I can, I will try the solution step by step and very detailed and easily explained, okay? So, let's start, of course, with the given. So, regarding our given, meron tayo dito sa ating, let's have my pen muna. Meron tayo dito sa ating problem na 18,000 pesos. So, when we say 18,000, ito yung doon sa naunang study. So, actually, we can have this 18,000 as our mu dahil before na siya and malamang to population mean talaga yung pinanggalingan niya. So, mu, let's have 18,000. Oops, okay. Next. A sample of 19 IE. So, meron na tayong value for n. 19 daw ang sample size. So, let's have here 19. Next. Starting salary has a mean of 17,350. Since this is just a sample, tapos this is a mean, therefore, this is a sample mean. Okay, so 17,350. And that is denoted by the symbol X bar. So, let's have here 17,350. Next, we have a standard deviation of 1 to 30 and this came from the sample na 19. So, basically, this is a sample standard deviation denoted by the small letter s. So, 1,230. And next, we have the question here, is there enough evidence to reject the Undersecretary's claim at 0.01? So, okay na yun. Lagyan natin yung 0.01 mamaya sa level of significance. For now, we can actually state now our two hypotheses. So, our first hypothesis is that the null hypothesis, sabi dito, no, balikan natin yung claim. Meron ba tayong evidence to reject the Undersecretary's claim? And what is the claim again? Go back to the first sentence. One of the Undersecretary of the Department of Labor and Employment claims that the average starting salary of IEs is 18,000, no? 18,000 exacto. So, meaning to say, we will be having here a null hypothesis which is mu equals 18,000 pesos. No? Again, ulitin ko po, when we say null hypothesis, this should be equal sign, greater than or equals, or less than or equals. Kapag alternative hypothesis, there shouldn't have the equal sign. Okay? And let's state that this is the claim. No? Ang goal natin, alamin kung may enough evidence ba, statistically speaking, to reject or to fail to reject, no, more likely, itong null hypothesis natin. Okay? And since our null hypothesis is equal, therefore our alternative hypothesis will be mu is not equals to 18,000 pesos. Okay? I hope you get it. Next, level of significance. Based on our problem, the level of significance is 0.01. So, let's write here 0.01. Next, we have the degrees of freedom. Now, sir, bakit bigla tayong nagkaroon ng degrees of freedom? More likely, guys, if we are using a t-test, and again, no, ang t-test ginagamit siya for sample size less than 30, that will be the time nagagamit tayo ng degrees of freedom. If our sample size is greater than 30, therefore that will be z-test, and we don't need to have degrees of freedom there. Okay, so for the degrees of freedom, since this is just one population, the formula for the degrees of freedom will be n, no, df equals n minus 1. Meaning, this n is based on our given, that is 19. So let's have here 19 minus 1. Basically, our degrees of freedom will be 18. Now, saan gagamitin itong 18? We have the next na kailangan to solve this problem, which is the key critical values. As you can see, these two hypotheses is equal and not equals. And if you're going to look back on the hypothesis testing introduction presentation before, this is considered as two-tailed test. Because wala siyang direction na binibigay, either going to the right or going to the left. Kasi naka-equal na equal siya. Therefore, two-tailed test ito. Meaning to say, ang T-critical din natin will be two signs, positive and negative. And anong gagamitin? Degrees of freedom and level of significance. So, we have 18 and 0.01. So, let's look now sa ating students' T distribution. So, we have two-tailed and 0.01 alpha level. I am right, 0.01. Yes, no, 0.01 two-tailed and degrees of freedom of 18. So, nasaan sa 18? Wala siya dito. Dito tayo sa kabila. Again, 0.01 two-tailed. Then, look for 18. So, here, 18 and 0.01 two-tailed. So, 2.878. So, this will be our T critical. And again, since this is two-tailed, this will be plus, minus, or positive, negative 2.878. Ito yung magiging value ng ating T critical. Okay? So, next, we have to compute now for the value of one sample t-test. Okay, for the formula of one sample t-test, that is T equals X bar minus mu all over S divided by the square root of N. Almost the same with our z-test before. The only difference is that we are using now the S dahil dito nga is less than 30 na siya. Ayun yung pinagkaiba. So, we have X bar na 17,350. So, 17,350. And ang ating mu is 18,000 pesos. So, let's write here 18,000 pesos. Okay. So, denominator. Let's have our standard deviation. Letter S, 1,230 pesos. Let's write here 1,230 divided by the square root of N. Again, what is our N? 19. Okay, so 19. If you have your scientific calculator, you can actually directly input ito sa calcu and it will give you a final answer of negative 2.303. Now, since that is the t-test, what should be our decision? First of all, let's have here our 0 sa gitna. Standard normal distribution. Siyempre, unahin natin ilagay yung ating T critical. 2.878. And it is on the both sides, positive and negative, since this is a two-tailed test. So, let's have 2.878 here. So, 2.878. And another one, negative 2.878. And ito will be our rejection region. Okay, so rejection region. Let's shade. Oops, magpas pa. Let's shade our rejection region. Okay, now, this is our rejection region. Two-tailed tayo. The computed one sample t-test is negative 2.303. This is the 0, so mas malapit siya dito. So, more likely, nandito siya, no? Dito na sa taas ilagay. So, this is negative 2.303. No? So, meaning, is that point is actually belongs to the non-rejection region. And since nandoon siya sa non-rejection region, we fail to reject null hypothesis. No, we can't reject null hypothesis. We fail to reject null hypothesis dahil wala siya doon sa rejection region. Of course, this is at alpha level 0.01. Kung titignan natin yung ating hypothesis, we fail to reject daw ito. Meaning to say, tama ito, mali itong alternative. Therefore, the claim of the Dulles Undersecretary is true. Even that is 18,000, tapos yung na-solve nila dito is 17,350. Medyo mas maliit ng konti, pero still, statistically speaking, the Undersecretary of Dulles na claim niya na 18,000 is still acceptable, is still correct siya statistically. Now, therefore, our conclusion will be, since we fail to reject the null hypothesis, we can conclude that the average starting salary of industrial engineers is 18,000 pesos at alpha level 0.01. So, assuming you are graduate na, expect an average salary, starting salary of 18,000. And this is not guarantee, guys. Baka maniwala kayo. No, this is just for educational purposes. This is just for statistics na subject natin. Still, no, may mga studies na dapat gawin dito para dito. I just use this as one of the example for educational. Baka mag-expect kayo, sabi ni sir, pagka-graduate ko, 18,000 yung sahod ko. Anyway, so I hope you learned something from this discussion. No, hypothesis testing, one population, so one sample, t-test. Please prepare for our next topic regarding the z-test for proportion. That will be our last topic under the one population hypothesis testing. Okay, I hope you learned something, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day and see you on our next video presentation. Goodbye and keep safe always.